Spin me around, round. What?
Spin me right
Everyone poke. Oh, hi. How's it going? We are tired. So this is going to be weird and interesting. Our daughter's watching
previous
Verb in the other room, so we might have to run out and take care of that. Yes, there is propaganda in Thaddeus and Verb. It is well-created propaganda. But luckily, it's the kind of propaganda that will affect a kid when they're older, 12. Oh, thanks for checking, babe. She didn't even have to... Oh, by the way, hi. RP Grizzly, a.k.a. Aaron Dowdy. The wife Grizzly here. The wife Grizzly. Nah. Anyway. Someone is here.
Yeah,
Wow.
Remember I was checking?
Oh. Well, you suck. I like share time. We'll share all the links. You always screw with me that way. It's either the FBI agent screwing with me or you every time. Anyway, sorry about the delay tonight. Honestly, it was kind of lucky we were able to do it tonight too, because the family drama was still going on 2 nights in a row. Kill me now.
2 days in a row.
Oh, but God came through. We got through it. Thank God. And we're here. Rosie, do you want to sell your feet pics? It's a funny meme. Come on. Rosie's a dog. Weirdos. Rose. Skydog might be on tonight. He needs to see you. It's very important. Everyone say hi to Rosie. But don't be such a derp. Look at the camera. Yes. For one day, we will have to have a physical, like Sunday Bible study thing. And you will all have to be approved of the dog. It's 100% necessary. Oh my gosh. What are you doing
Do
to my
not
dog?
chip my other tooth.
She chipped my wife's tooth. Massive headbutt.
I have a natural cat now.
A whistle.
Cat.
Ah.
Rosie, that was nasty.
Don't worry. If we find the cat, we'll bring him into the camera too. But yes, welcome. Hi. I promise I'll get to the point eventually, but you have to let people kind of filter in. Or that's what I hear. Who knows what the appropriate thing. With the algorithms changing as fast as they are, is there any right way to do these streams anymore? Hot dog. I mean, it's a pay-to-win game now anyway. That's why we should pray more, though. Lord God, please bless this stream. Please let it break the algorithm. Please forgive us of our sins. Please bless everybody listening to this and give me the words to speak tonight to everyone and the message you want to give. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Let there be no more family drama. Anyway. Oh, we scared the FBI agent away. So, I don't know what the appropriate time is supposed to be for waiting for people to filter in. Is it different per group?
I don't know.
Is it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour? No, we're not going that long. But yes, we're going to be talking about the spirit of fear this time. Last time, wow, that week feels like a lifetime ago. Lord have mercy. Oh, shoot. I'm embarrassed.
What?
I didn't do my homework because of all the family drama.
I read.
Gosh dang. I'm
I
glad
read
you
it.
did.
Remember I was telling you today while we were in the mountain about it?
Oh.
First of all, we were at the mountain during the whole thing.
We was in the mountains. Hey, Anthony, look at you. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
You have a little crown by your face.
Look here, top fan.
Oh, you are my top fan.
Wait, it says number 1. Run. Clearly it's Rosie.
Oh, Rosie, you have to come again. He's here.
Rosie.
Rose, come.
Stop itching and get over here.
Sell your feet pics again. we know the real reason why Skydog's here. Here she is.
No, you look Don't you look startled? But I don't have food here.
Too late. Oh, we should have fed them before we did this. Anyway, I'm just startled to realize I didn't do my homework like I was supposed to. It's a good thing we're pretty early into these new Monday schools.
Monday,
It's Sunday school on Monday, okay? What do you want from me?
But it's Tuesday. Man.
Shut up. It was delayed. I was delayed.
It's like a flight.
Man. But yeah. I don't know if that means I should just do chapters 3 and 4 again next week because of bad precedence. But
because you didn't do your homework.
Shut up. Things happen. I read other things in the Bible. It was distracting. I've read it in my misty past.
It was about the temptation of Jesus.
Right, you did bring that.
And then, it
I've
was
read
like,
that a lot.
the...
You guys might be lost. So if you haven't watched the previous streams, we've been giving homework to read your Bible because the idea is for newer Christians and people refreshing.
To read your Bible.
And it was supposed to be over the last week reading Luke chapters 3 and 4 after we did 1 and 2.
Because 3 goes after 2.
Thanks, bye. But we're going to have to come back to that because of the family drama and nonsense made me forget to do my homework, which is embarrassing. I've, of course, already read all the book of Luke, but I want to give you guys fresh eyes on that. So I'll come back to that. I don't want to, mess you guys all up. Maybe next stream we'll just talk about chapters 3 through 5, like the whole stream. So, oh man, last stream we were talking about... What was the title of the last stream, Life? Do you remember?
Was it about being on the...
It was about being on the mountain?
No, that was their sermon.
That was my sermon.
Your stream...
I'm so off my game right now. This is so embarrassing.
Is this the third one we've done?
This is the third one.
Because the first one was about mooncake.
Just read the title. If you read the title, we'll remember. Anyway, enough of the recaps. Anyway, for new Christians, this one is, I'm going to try and tie in everything to the sermon, so that should help. Will be all about the spirit of fear.
It's not about you.
Oh, yes. That was important. So the last one, for all you newbies out there, was reminding you that the world was not made for you specifically, that God made the world for his own purposes, and we fit into that. We had a job to do, but God's the main character. You're not the main character. So you need to start putting God on top and not yourself, and not try to change God to fit your little box for him, what you want him to be. It's he's the complex being of the universe, not you. You're more complex than an amoeba or a dog. Some humans, anyway. And yeah, but I believe the analogy, just for a quick recap, was I did not buy a lawn so the lawnmower can exist on the lawn and have something to do. I bought the lawn for my kids and for my wife and for us to enjoy it. The lawnmower has a job because of that, but the lawn does not exist for the lawnmower. Right? So we're grateful for the lawnmower. Mm-hmm. His name's not Jose in this case.
Juan.
Not even a Juan. Or Pajit for that matter. All right. So, moving on from that. This is nice. This isn't exactly something I would normally put for like a third episode for newbies, but it's kind of the times we live in. So I think new Christians need to hear it. And it's the deeper dive into... Gosh, I'm so off my game. I should have looked this up before we started. I'm so embarrassed. You look it up on your phone. It's the verse that talks about God did not give us a spirit of fear. It's 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy, I remember now. 2 Timothy. For we have not been given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power and love and self-control.
Oh. Self-control. Oh. All right.
There's another verse.
I'm sorry.
Wife is trying to cause problems already, quoting different verses on me. But bear with me, folks, as I find 2 Timothy, because I can never find it.
It's after first.
Thanks. But before Revelations. Shut up. This is so disorganized. Why were we so much more organized the last couple of...
Because we have family drama then.
Shut up. It feels so dramatic. But yes. What makes it so important is the previous generations have been utterly consumed by a spirit of fear. And they have played all kinds of mental philosophies and theologies to explain it away. But in the end, it comes down to a spirit of fear. They're too scared to fight for Christ. That's just what it is. You know, they'll come up with every reason on the book and random... So this isn't a Star Citizen stream.
Oh.
By the way, I hope you didn't work too hard on your spaceships. We're getting a wipe. We're getting wiped, bro. I just saw the news. It's all going bye-bye. Gosh dang. Knowing you, all your ships were bought with real money, you madman. Leaving us poor fogies in the dust.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man. Good segue. Is it a segue? No, it probably isn't. But, makes my main point before I was so rudely interrupted. Every Bible study, Sunday school needs a interrupting guy in the back. Otherwise, it's just not as fun.
I remember that time.
That time when you went fishing? Pastor!
What does this have to do with the sermon again? Never know.
Oh my gosh. And so, what I mean by this is they've come up with a billion different philosophies and excuses for why they cannot fight for Christ, why they can't do anything physical to stop evil, ever. Come up with a million different excuses, but in the end, it just comes down to they have a spirit of fear upon their generations that absolutely holds them back. They're so scared of civil war and societal collapse and blah, 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 that they won't fight for Christ. They'd rather slowly watch their entire way of life crumble around them, their Christianity fall apart, and eventually get kicked out of their own churches, as we saw in COVID, then actually fight back. Because the spirit of fear is that powerful. This is why God has not given us the spirit of fear. You're to fear God, not man. But the spirit of fear is so pervasive in the modern world, so intense, that it... Gosh dang, I'm repeating myself a lot. Felt like I am. Like, how many times I just said spirit of fear, the spirit of fear, the spirit of fear. Get used to it. I'm tired. So...
Grouchy.
I'm bald. I'm going to start acting like an old man. You see this a lot. So with boomers, the spirit of fear is kind of planted inside of them because they're terrified of death. I mean, it's terrified of death in a lot of different ways. Don't get me wrong. But terrified also of the party ending, right? Them having to pay the piper. You have a lot of it also with cultists and really heavy into that because, you know, they're always looking for their fountain of youth, no matter who and what they have to kill and destroy to do it. There's a reason why vampires living up forever, but they have to drink the blood of, you know, usually virgins or something, is such a theme, besides the fact that, yeah, Nephilim were a thing. Yeah, don't let people confuse you. Vampire stories actually go way, way back. They're really old. But that's not this turn. Oh, so this translates to philosophies like libertarianism, and even in a lot of ways democracy and like the structures of governments and stuff, at least the modern American versions of these things, formed to explain why they can't fight back. Right? It's no one wants to just say, "Oh, I'm scared, so I just don't want anyone to fight." Does that make sense? Right? No one wants to say, "Oh, I'm a coward, so don't fight, please." And the funny thing is, people don't want to talk about that about themselves, right? No one wants to admit to being afraid of the spirit of fear. Shadow attacks. And so you'll come up, for generations, the spirit of fear will feed on you so much that you'll start lying to yourself about why you won't fight for Christ, why you won't fight for the kingdom of heaven, why you will let the alligator eat every other Christian around you till it gets to you. Right? I didn't say anything when they came for the Southern racists, or I didn't say anything when they came for the people who fought abortion, and I didn't say anything when they came for the people who fought the gay marriage, and now they came for me, or something. You get the classic term. They're basically just trying to be eaten last, or have their party finish up, die, or whatever. Or even, you gotta remember, a lot of these people don't even have that long term of thinking going, right? It's just the instinctual, let's make it last as long as we can. Like, think about the amount of, at times, right before an economic downturn. Like, you guys remember this one, right? 2008, housing crisis is around the corner. What were all the economic guys saying? They were like, "Oh, there will never be another crisis again. We will never be under financial strain. Buy more houses." Well, look at that. Yes, more. Yes. And funny enough, there's actually old papers of this right before the Great Depression, of people declaring that there'll never be a depression again, or never, economic downturn, bear market, or whatever. And that's because, in a way, that's almost like wishful thinking. That's the spirit of fear talking of like, "Oh, the party will last forever. I'll never have to pay the piper. I'll never die. I'll never have to face my sins." And in the spirits of fear's case, it's trying to feed that short-term thinking. You're so afraid of somebody ending the party that you'll come up with any philosophy, any lie to yourself, any lie to tell other people to just get them not to fight. Because if nobody's fighting, well, then you don't have to fight. But you can't really get the other side to stop fighting, right? They're not going to have a very good shot if they're being Christians with a spirit of fear on them, if trying to get the Satanists to stop fighting, or the Hillary Clinton Molochites, or Molochites, or whatever you want to call them. Yes, if you're wondering, Hillary Clinton's emails got leaked that one time, and apparently, she admitted to trying to do another Moloch sacrifice, which usually involves human sacrifice, by the way. And they tried to say that was just a joke, because
people joke.
I want to use that in a court of law someday. I might be an old fogey remembering this and keeping this and bringing this up, but someday I want a murderer, he's in court. They say, "We have in our possession, ladies and gentlemen of the court, an admission of guilt by the accused, where he claimed to, in fact, have bashed so-and-so over the head with a hammer until he was dead. How do you plead? Not guilty. On what grounds? Oh, I was joking. I was joking about beating the man's face in with a hammer, even though his face was found beaten with a hammer in exactly the way you told us, and that was not released to the public. I was joking, Your Honor. It was just a joke." God, that was not amused. Right? It's like, your joke's not that funny. No. Law and Order. We need a spoof Law and Order episode. God, I need to get money so I can get that Sora AI stuff going. It's just a joke. Surprise. Anyway, I'm getting lost in the weeds a little bit. Back again to how the spirit of fear gets in everything, every part of your life, and makes you start lying to yourself. It basically allows the lying spirit to come in, so you lie to yourself, you lie to everyone around you, and you start thinking short term and just try and keep the party going.
I'm sorry.
Because you're afraid of losing what you have.
You said lost in the weeds. Remember what you said about vintage earlier today?
You're gonna bring that up right now? I was using that to distract you from the drama, woman.
And then you just said the short joke, the word short. I was like cracking up and you said that. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if I'm. It's a funny joke, but I'm not gonna bring it up right now.
I'm so sorry.
It's gonna distract from what we're doing right now, lady. What do you? Random short person joke. Wait.
You're talking about fear about losing themselves. I'm sorry.
No one knows what you're laughing at. That's the funny part. You could have just kept laughing over there. Gato, don't you try to drink your drink. He's sitting right outside the camera, refusing to be your guys' mascot. Jerk. Tabby. Anyway. Yeah, we said lying and allows the spirit of lying in and lying to themselves, and that's right. This is because look, people in the past, and yeah, because the spirit of fear is so strong on previous generations, even I have to sit here and tell you, don't commit violence. This isn't a call to violence, because the people who are full of fear are going to stab you in the back. And they'll 100% allow violence to happen to you. They will not defend you. They will not defend, and whether it's courts or the court of opinion of Black Lives Matter coming and spitting, throwing rocks in your mother's window, right? They will not defend you from the other side doing horrible violence, right? They won't defend you from Satanists and all that. Witches casting curses on you, saying, "Oh, it's nonsense, it's not real." Like, no offense. Joking. Even if a witch has no power, their intent is essentially attempted murder. Just because their attempt was so inept doesn't make it any less bad, does it? We still throw people in jail for attempting murder, even if they're morons. Okay? Though I suppose there's a level of hilarity to that. Like, I mean, how do you, if someone tries to kill someone for rubber chicken, they might have a little trouble proving that in court. Maybe they even admit it and write it down. Like, I wanted this man to die. I was just too stupid to know that rubber chicken wouldn't do it. You might have some trouble. Like, they'll be like, legally under the law, we should throw you in jail, but we feel like this is a little too ridiculous. Perhaps a mental asylum instead. Arkham for this guy. It's just a joke. I was just joking. Mm-hmm. It's just a bad joke. Oh, so why are the jokes so weird today? Like, Skydog isn't even distracting me. He said like one thing, and it's his presence is making me go off on tangents. Right. I don't know why that made me stop and look at you weird. That cat is way too comfortable in your arms. Anyway, back to what we were talking about.
At least I'm not picking fleas out of him.
Yes. Never had fleas on any of my animals in my whole life. Come back to California. Everything's fine for months. Then a pack of coyotes show up, and next thing you know, there's like fleas everywhere. It's in my butt. Oh, freaking coyotes, man. Yeah, we're like in Los Angeles, by the way. There's some hills here, but it's kind of surprising that there's coyotes here. I don't know why. Anyway, you're so distracted.
I'm sorry.
Right. I did call it right. Because they're so full of fear, right? That they will absolutely stab you in the back. Your own parents, your own mother will probably turn you in before she'll let you do something like destroy an abortion clinic, right? And again, you're not supposed to do that. Don't do it. You won't accomplish anything. You'll just waste your time and end up in jail. So don't do it. At this point, wait for the system to collapse. That's what I have to say every time. It's really annoying. And what's really right, and then I dealt with this a lot. My Gen X uncle was like, vigilantes, and I'm just sitting here laughing, like, yeah, when your courts don't enact the law and all of your politicians are pedophiles owned by foreign entities, Epstein files, hint, hint, whiskey, whiskey, tango, tango, what else do you have left other than sit there and let them destroy everything you love? Like, that's the coward talking, right? That is the spirit of fear. Like, oh, we can't take justice into our own hands. Like, even though, all the people that they like to quote, like the founding fathers, I don't know if you know this, but the Declaration of Independence was them taking justice into their own hands. It was against the law to declare your independence from the king. Wasn't it? But no. It's fine for them to do it. It's not fine for us to do it, even though the fabric of our society is being destroyed. I got to be careful. I'll get into a political rant. But this is the danger of the spirit of fear, that it'll turn, as the Bible says, if you fall, as Christ says, he's not come to bring peace, but a sword. To mother will be turned against daughter, father against son, brother against sister, brother against brother, all this stuff, right? And that's because it's not just the spirit of fear, but it's the biggest one, at least in these generations, because they're so materialistic that they're terrified to lose what they have in the material. Guys, and this might be a little shock for any new Christians coming in, but of the 10 commandments, can you guess which commandment is thou shalt not murder? And emphasis is thou shalt not murder, not thou shalt not kill. It's very clear. The wording is not up for grabs. Like, all the translations that change it are full of crap. There is no wiggle room at all. The word has always meant murder or unjust killing.
Murder.
Murder. It's never meant just killing in general. After all, if we were to use those terms, then you wouldn't be able to kill animals either, and we would be Buddhists. But Buddhists kill people and animals all the time, so I don't want to hear it. Not even Buddhists do it right. Haven't you heard of these things called warrior monks? And Japan was Buddhist for ages, and they never stopped killing, ever, even once. They even outlawed eating meat for a while, but they kept killing each other. Now, isn't that a supreme irony? Right? They outlawed meat because Buddhism, but they still murdered each other. Again, Buddhism in a nutshell. I'm going to bring it back. Not get lost in the weeds. It's the 5th commandment. The 5th commandment is thou shalt not murder. That means, you guys can't see him, but there's a cat between me and you. He's right here, right below the camera. He is so distracting. I'm going to lift him up to prove my point. Don't you press the space bar? What are you doing? Oh, hey, his tail. Now I have proof. I wasn't just making it up. There is a cat there. Now he's sitting on the mouse. Oh my god! Nightmare. Anyway, so now it's funny when you talk about these things and you bring up the fact that God says that we're going to be split and all the rest, and that it's the 5th commandment. And you know what the 1st commandment is? Thou shalt not have any other God before me. Number 1, the big one. The next two are closely related. Don't have any engraved images, and honor thy father and mother. Now, why is honor thy related to that? Is because, as we've seen statistically, Christianity grows the most through children, through Christians having children. And Paul alludes to this when he says that a woman finds salvation through, or like, I forget, it's obviously for Christ, but there was like, I wish I had gotten this verse ready to go, but through mothering children and bringing them into faith.
Read this from Titus. We'll tell you about the older lady are supposed to teach the younger ladies.
Right. And which alludes to it, the fact that if you honor your father and mother and they're good, proper Christians, you're going to be much more likely to stay Christian, aren't you? And have your children be Christian, and thus the kingdom of heaven grows. And there's more more nights for the crusade, baby. And that's the point. That's how Christianity is spread the most all throughout history, even in situations of conquistadors and whatnot. So, the 3 first commandments are all about God and keeping Him first. Yet, for some reason, right, the modern Christians don't have a problem with idols in their everywhere. Buddhism and all this stuff, right? Islam everywhere, right? They don't have any problems with this because they're materialists. They're absolutely materialists, right? What do they concentrate on? They concentrate on physical sins you can see, and say things like, well, certain sins aren't so bad because they're not hurting anyone. Gays aren't hurting anyone when they are. Yeah, but like gays aren't hurting anyone when they get married. And then we find out, well, actually they were, because the way gays make more gays is they damage children. And then they even allude to that fact and know that fact and talk about it amongst themselves and prey on children. Are we really going to forget about the gay man's choir that sang about how they were coming for our children? Right? I'm never going to forget that. It's so funny being a man in this age that remembers things. So strange. I guess I was supposed to forget about that crap.
So those who remember things lose their...
Yes, they do. Because they pull it out in frustration as everyone forgets about it. I still remember the feminist choir. Oh, that was such a beautiful tool. Oh, it was great. I played it in the other room to my parents. And you guys remember the feminist choir? Look it up if you want your eardrums to explode. It was literally just 5 women dressed up like they were going to the opera, screeching like goats. That is actually what my sister, who was a feminist, thought was going on. She thought I was playing a video of a dying goat. And came into the room going, "Who's killing the goat?" And then I got to show her in big letters, feminist choir. And they were not being ironic at all. What a powerful tool. And yet everyone just forgets. What a pain. But I'm getting lost. So, getting lost a lot, it seems. It's like there's a lot of things to talk about. But yeah. See, again, this subject's a bit intense for new Christians, but it's important that we get you guys on the right path right off the bat, because there's going to be a lot of voices who are going to take verses out of context or just show you certain verses and not other verses. They try to convince you that violence is bad for a Christian all the time, every time, no matter what, unless you're fighting for pedos in Iraq or in World War II. You can explain that one to me later, why people would stop you from, say, killing an abortion doctor, but are fine with you killing a father of 5 who just, wanted you to stop killing his goats with your tank. You're going to have a hard time explaining this to me. Why is it okay to bomb? I think it was 300,000, might have been like 500,000 civilians in Dresden on purpose. They were aiming for the civilian population. It was a revenge attack, and they were purposely attacking the civilians. They weren't aiming. There wasn't even an attempt to aim for like strategic targets. They were specifically targeting the civilians there on purpose during World War II. You slapping that cat. Hear all kinds of things. So, right? Why is that okay? Or the special irony, since World War II has been held up by the boomer peoples, Nagasaki just so happened to be bombed, right? And like incinerated, right? Was one of the only cities with a strong Christian population in Japan. They have like a list of martyrs and everything. Like they're a bunch of the Christians there. Yeah, they were horribly treated. There's a term, suppressed, persecuted, horribly persecuted by the shogunates and the emperors and everything. But they had persevered. There's like these paintings and stuff of how they actually crucified these guys in Japan. By the way, they actually did it. It was not ironic. It's not ironic, yeah. And their biggest center was Nagasaki. And you're going to tell me that the atheist government just so happened to bomb the one city in Japan full of Christians. And then, even though we've conquered Japan and are rebuilding it, we don't Christianize it at all. We instead make it more atheist. Come on, son. Let's make that make sense to me. Like when the British used to conquer places, you could argue whether they were being moral or not, but they Christianized those places they went, and they made them better places. Except for when they invaded Christian lands, oddly enough. Like when the British invaded like savage nonsense lands, like Borneo, full of headhunters, or like various African tribes and whatnot, they actually were doing quite the service.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Thanks for showing up. They were actually doing quite a service. They usually ended headhunting, widow burning. Oh man, I'm studying Rhodesia right now, and just the nightmare nonsense that the African king there was doing to the other Africans and his own people was just ridiculous. Like it's just spearing toddlers for no good, just oh hey, they're of the wrong tribe, I'm gonna spear this kid kind of thing. The rape, just pointless torture. Oh, it was disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And then the British come in with like half a group of ruffians and some rifles. And oddly enough, they actually gave rifles to the natives for the right to come into the land. So the natives were actually on par weaponry-wise. They had the Martini rifles, and they still got their butt kicked because they couldn't. They actually had this funny thing where they thought that the higher they aimed the rifle, the better their accuracy would be. So they're like firing over all the white boys' heads, while you have these guys who are like sharpshooters fighting lions, just popping, fighting like 800 guys versus thousands. Oh man. And again, the hilarious thing, I'm getting way into the weeds on this. I know. But it's such an interesting story. If you want to look more into it, you should look up the Zoomer Historian. He's on Substack because he got kicked off YouTube. If anyone can get a hold of that guy, let him know that Vox Day actually kind of hinted that he'd be interested in it, with him teaming up with an unauthorized. I know he has his own thing kind of going right now, but if anyone ever gets a hold of him, he might want to actually join up with some people for support, because who knows how long Substack, like they've been bought out. I don't know, I forget which, but they've been bought out. I don't know if it was BlackRock, but it was like a BlackRock type group, which means Substack, its days are numbered. Who knows how long we have before they're kicking people off like YouTube does now. Suck. But till then, Zoomer Historian, great stuff about Rhodesia. Hey, you guys are, if you're young enough, you probably never knew what Rhodesia even was. A bunch of white boys in Africa actually turning it into a beautiful civilization. Most people don't know this. Africa was turning into a pretty cool place until after World War II and all the white people were kicked out. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. The funny thing is, you actually had like liberals, a guy whose whole job, he went down there to join the mercenary group that was going to go in and deal with the king and whatnot, the African king who wanted to murder everyone. And he was literally the guy hired by the paper to slander all the white colonists and say that the noble savage was being abused and struck out. He would be considered the day's liberal, a libtard to the extreme. The kind of guy who would look at the George Floyd situation and say that we lost a great member of the human race today. And you know what? Even George Floyd was valued in God's eyes, and he wasted his potential. And a lot of men who look like him tend to. So, in this case, this liberal newspaper guy who was fighting with them, right? He saw what happened when the blacks they were fighting, the tribe, got a hold of another tribe who had allied with the whites there because they were sick of being annihilated, like tortured and killed and brutally raided by this supreme tribe who was being ridiculous. And the amount of torture, pain, and suffering that they did to their fellow Africans shocked him so hard that he said, like, he went from like, oh, I don't know if we have a right to fight these people to let's kill them all. Like, their violence and viciousness was so disgusting that your liberal of the day went, I don't feel bad for these people. Let's destroy them. That's how bad the crap they did, the raping, the torture, the just killing of toddlers and all kinds of stuff they were willing to do. And it only got worse later on when this tribe rebelled and started killing all the white people they could. Like, they killed 10% of the white population in like a month. It was crazy. I mean, it was a small population, but still like 10% of it. Until the reinforcements came and blew the crap out of them. But yeah. Anyway, bad tangent. Bad. It goes way back to the Japan stuff if you're lost. But basically, I saw a great video. I think what's the name of the channel? I would love to shout them out. Though they're way bigger than I am. So something Basic Logic or something like that. Pointed out that blasphemy laws are just laws that show what you believe. We have blasphemy laws right now. You know what they are? You can't call a gay guy anything bad, right? You can't say trannies are messed up in the head, right? You can't say, hey, if abortion's murder, we have no right to let the government murder people right in front of our eyes like that and do nothing about it.
Or,
right?
2/3 of a generation.
Yeah, they're committing genocide right next door. Hello? But no, right? We're not allowed. And that's the blasphemy laws. All societies have blasphemy laws. And in some ways, the ones that try to say they don't have the most stringent and intense ones, usually enforced by the very members themselves, not even necessarily the government, but the government now too, right? Try saying oh man, it's funny to see how much this has changed too. With the changing of society, there's had to be more actual rules to enforce these blasphemy laws, because the younger generations really don't care about things like the N-word and stuff like that. What a beautiful thing. Like, all us old fogies, right? We remember what it was like. What you couldn't say, what you could say.
The Chinese word for and.
Yeah. If you don't know, it's basically the N word is like a Chinese consonant, like
It's a conjunction.
conjunction. Thank you, conjunction. So if you're nervous, like if I say and, but in that dialect of
Yeah.
that dialect of Mandarin, it's like saying the N word over and over again. And I had friends in high school who spoke this. So it was very funny to hear it. Like I would just hear their conversation with their mom, and then their mom would go, no, 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 no. And I go, what?
Especially when they're thinking.
All the time. God, I miss those guys. They were fun. But I'm getting lost in the weeds. We should be getting to the main points. And I got really distracted. But what's kind of important about this is to understand that God makes it clear, right? And if you're so distracting, if you're a young Christian, it's really important for you to understand. Like we said last time, God is number one now. You're not number one.
He wants his food.
You know, you're right. This is where I usually
That's
feed
where
him.
you feast.
That's true. Why you gotta say it like that?
That's where you
That's where he feeds. Like he's like a vampire in the corner. Anyway, God is number one, and He is above the government. Yes, God gives governmental authority to the government unless they go against God. They go against God, they lose the right of kings. They lose the right of authority because they're in rebellion to that authority. Right? You can't say that you serve the devil and you serve God, right? Doesn't work.
can't eat it.
You can't have your cake and eat it too, as wife wanted to say,
I was
but
gonna say-
totally
I
messed
was
it up.
saying the verse
Oh,
that you can't eat.
you can't serve two masters.
You can't eat with demons and then take seat at the table.
Oh, really?
You know that one?
No, I don't know that one off the top of my head.
It's a,
Wow, my wife brought up a verse I can't remember, and
I
I think
always
you've
quote it
even brought it
because-
up before.
yeah, because I was like, well, I don't
Huh.
want to.
Good
They
verse.
do that when with people who it was reference to the sexual sins,
Oh, yeah.
especially those that you call brother, not to
Oh.
associate yourself with them or even eat with them. You cannot eat them, with
I
Yeah.
think of a few churches that have broken that one, huh?
it.
Just a few.
There's a context behind it.
Yeah.
He's playing with
He's
paper.
playing with the paper, but it looks like he's slapping my head. Anyway. Oh, you distracting thing. You better not poop.
Are you? Let me put this in the.
Whoa. Are you about to do it? You about to go to the bathroom?
No, look over me. Look over me. Ow!
Well, that paper reminded him a little bit too much of his litter box. So he's going to his litter box now, gentlemen. You okay? Ooh. Anyway, this is a PG stream. We're not going to have any excrement.
What? Oh.
Cat poop behind my head. What do you not pay attention to what's happening, woman? Man, I'm not even getting to my points here because I wanted to get past this and get to the positive points. But it is important to establish what we're talking about here, why it's so important. Is God is a God of justice, and He expects justice to be done. And if justice is not done, like He is merciful, but He is just in His mercy, right? You're not going to. It's not just a, oh, hey, you get to do whatever you want because I'm merciful kind of thing. It's not how it works. God punishes nations, punishes generations for their sins. It's an individual thing, but it's also a generational thing, a nation thing, a community thing, a family thing. There's familiar sins, family sins.
Familiar spirits that
Right.
follow into those sins.
Right, and and this goes all the way back. Like this is a core philosophy in the Bible, all the way back to the very first sin, Adam and Eve. Their sin was so intense that the entire human race was affected by it. That's like your ultimate, right? In a way, though, we could argue it was a familiar sin because we're all the family of Adam, blah blah blah. But I would say it's more intense than that. And so, in those situations, you are still judged on an individual by individual basis, but you're going to be affected by that sin, i.e., the sin of tolerance, allowing idols into your society, which we've definitely done. At first, we were tricked into it, to be fair, right? And they're still kind of trying to hide the Moloch statues and stuff. But guys, if you haven't looked up Bohemian Grove, you should, especially if you're a young Christian.
Read your Deuteronomy.
It'll open up your eyes. Okay, if you don't know, all of our presidents have gone to this weird place called Bohemian Grove, which is right here in California, and they have rituals in front of a giant owl statue that's looks like 30, 40 feet tall, and at the very least have mock sacrifices, and we hope they're mock sacrifices. And no, this isn't like me being crazy. This isn't even a conspiracy, all right? All the way back in the 90s, we had footage of this. Footage of them with their mock sacrifice in front of a giant owl statue. And if you don't know, owls are closely associated to Moloch and also to the entity known as Lilith. Incidentally, this will disturb you, but very recently, within the last decade, there was an entire parade in Paris dedicated to Lilith, which is a demonic entity. Yeah, and it is some creepy crap, by the way. And it's even worse if you know about these things. You know about evil, you know about a lot of the nonsense. I have videos about Lilith. But basically, the words that they had, the moving idol, it was a moving idol, like the mechanized idol with like multiple arms, all the imagery.
Almost like a spider.
But the words they had it announcing to the crowd. You probably never heard of that. Also, that's neither here nor there, right? The point is, we have allowed idols in, and they've been in here for a long time. And, you'll have these libertarians and other types, I'm sorry for being political, who quite frankly have allowed the spirit of fear to stop them from saying something obvious like, maybe the giant statue of Lilith isn't something we want in our society. Yeah. Maybe those gay parades, as you literally have like an army of people doing the weirdest fetishes and putting like the essentially Baphomet. Now, if you don't know what Baphomet is, it's like a visual version of Satan. It's nasty, goat-headed. It's basically trannies. Right? You may wonder why trannies, if they just want to be women, why they look like weird Japanese demons, is because, well, as they say, they are many. And the Bible said, call us legion, for we are many, is the classic term for demons. So even they are communicating what they are and what they're doing. And I'm getting way. This is too much. This is too much for early Christians. I'm trying to wake you guys up to see what society is around. Right? It's that does play into the spirit of fear. I've gotten in arguments about people pointing out that they still are hiding. Not well, like I said, they did like a 30-foot moving Lilith statue float speaking blasphemy in the streets of Paris. Yet, I guarantee you didn't hear about it. I guarantee
it showed up on Facebook for a little bit and then gone.
Right. I guarantee you didn't hear about it. Right. Think of how many obvious rituals have gone on in these like Golden Globe events and stuff. It's not even like, you don't even have to be that in tune to say, this is kind of weird. Why are they singing in the weird masks and the bloody imagery and what's going on? Right? You don't have to be that versed to know something weird's going on, but they still are nominally hiding it because they're playing off of the spirit of fear. Because guess what? Fear will make you, that spirit will convince you through it, the lying spirit we were talking about that allows in, that you're not seeing it. Because if you saw it, then you might have to do something about it. And that might be a little scary, having to fight it, having to see, or even the recognition that evil is so strong in there, and you might have to fight evil, right? If you look at the very sanitized, materialistic Christian view, it's God's got the whole world in his hand, right? That kind of mentality. It's I mean, first of all, it's infantilizing. It's infantilizing. It holds you in a state of imbecility, which I'm using that in its original term. Imbecile isn't like just stupid. It's like you're undeveloped, like you've stayed immature. It holds you in that immature state. This also works really well for them, because not only does that mean you're more susceptible to fear, because imagine going from the mentality, okay, God is in control of everything, everything's working the way he wants it right now, no one's in rebellion to him properly, and we just have to be good people, and we get to have party retirement in heaven. To Lilith statues in the street and human sacrifice underneath the local New York synagogues.
It was first.
No, synagogue. Remember the Ashkenazi Jews in the sewer?
Oh, that one. No.
I didn't forget that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, tunnels have been used by these people a lot. Satanic Panic was started by a case about tunnels underneath a preschool. And the case was pretty wild, but in the end, all the physical evidence, once they brought an archaeologist in after the fact, shows that, yeah, 100%, there was rituals, there was a tunnel system underneath this preschool, McPherson Preschool, I think it was called. And they even found articles of like satanic imagery and stuff down there.
Well, just
Pentagrams.
What the kids were drawn to.
Yeah, and tunnels leading off the property where the kids said the tunnels were. And just so happens, one of the properties where the kids say they were taken to, like, they didn't know where they were going exactly, but they described it, burned down mysteriously. And it's called the Satanic Castle around here, by the way. And again, it's not just that people are stupid. It's that they're too scared to see it. If they allow themselves to see it, they have to do something about it, right? And if you don't want to fight no matter what, then you have to maintain this lie that there's nothing to fight for or nothing you should fight for. Even to the state of pretending your enemies don't exist, and you will stop your side from fighting. Because guess what? Boomer Christians and Gen Xers who were terrified of societal collapse, for example, right? You know, terrified of being the ones ending up in a ditch on fire, even though they're probably going to end up in a ditch on fire if they're not smothered in their nursing homes or whatever, because they're hated because they did this thing, right, where they sold everybody out so that the alligator would eat them last, rather than just fighting back. Heavens to Betsy. Keep in mind, millennials aren't much better. We didn't really fight back. I mean, half the time we were on the other side being the problem. Don't get me started with the amount of my peers who are in witchcraft right now. God. I'm not angrily chewing ice just thinking about it. That's not me. Anyway. Witch burning is
the meme.
We need a meme. Well, if you don't know, Anthony HW down there, he also knows Skydog, has a wonderful, I guess, is magma the right word? Visual novel comic, I guess, up on Unauthorized TV. Is it Unauthorized TV? It's Archaven. Archaven. Yeah, webcomic. And he has invented the witch burnies, where the dog gets excited burning witches or chewing them up or something. I forget what it was, but I remember the scene was very entertaining. Highly recommend it. Go do it if you haven't seen it.
Go support him.
Yeah, watch witches get burned. I knew you were still here. Oh yeah, it was the best. I love it too because I won't give any spoilers, but he doesn't hold back, and I love it. So many people are too chicken, so chicken. Skydog's not. That's why he's here. Love the guy. Oh man, not the lines. Why? Oh man, am I gonna have to save the positive part of it, like the spirit that God gives us for next week? Because we're already an hour in, baby.
We've done 2 hours.
I don't know if I can do a 2-hour stream tonight. I'm tired. Okay, I keep going for now. But so just get back. Oh, we should bring this back to the Bible. So we'll probably eventually get into studying this. We're gonna stick to your homework being the Gospels right now, because if you're a new Christian, you need to just learn those. It's very important. If you haven't read them yet, you got to read them. Your homework right now that I definitely did not forget because of our family drama was chapters 3 and 4 of Luke. We will go over that next Monday, Sunday school. I apologize. We'll be a week behind. But we'll be going through that and the early church in Acts. Now, I'm glad I brought that up because it reminds me a little bit. We forgot to talk about this when we were talking about the 5th commandment is thou shalt not murder. The point is, early Christians had a concept that because they weren't materialists, right? Materialists, the worst thing you can do in a materialist's eyes is end the party. Kill them. You kill them, their party ends. They don't get to enjoy the materialism, right? If you think this is all there is, ending the existence of this physical body is the worst thing you can do because you've ended their existence. But Christ makes it very clear when he says that you should not fear the ones that can only damage your body, but the one that can damage your soul. Right? This is very important. It helps you grasp what the early Christians understood, which was that this life ends no matter what. So it's not as bad to kill someone as it is to corrupt their soul in some way. Right? The sins that corrupt your soul are far more dangerous than the ones that damage your body. Now, they often play hand in hand, right? But this is what Crusaders and the Knight Orders believed. And quite rightly so, in my opinion, which was that the material's not as important. And you're not getting out of this alive. You're going to die. It's not distracting me. It's just an hour and I'm tired.
Oh.
So, I wanted to bring that back up. And, shoot. We may have to pick this up again next week. I'm slowing down really much. Let me bring it all in. So if we get back to the Bible, right? The early Christians believe that. And justice is in our societies and stuff, right? All throughout Judges and the prophets, God sets up a clear pattern. He expects us to have justice and to search out justice and have justice in our societies. Funny enough, the word for justice and revenge in the Old Hebrew was basically interchangeable. So remember that. A lot of these manuscripts are actually saying, you get revenge in society. Hilariously enough, you know, the where Paul and Jesus are saying revenge is of the Lord, that's actually referencing it's either Deuteronomy, if you look it up on Blue Letter Bible or something, it'll show you what it's referencing. This moment where God tells the Israelites to go enact his vengeance, like for themselves, his vengeance on their enemies, the Midians. And it's like, the vengeance is on my Lord, now go, is on the Lord, now go do it. So the Bible has established that vengeance is of the Lord. And he may very well call you to enact that vengeance. See, these generations full of fear cannot handle that message because they might have to do something. Christianity is more than just, woo, we are generally a good person and then we go up in retirement in the clouds. No, Christianity is a war against evil. It is absolutely a war against evil, and it's always been a war against evil. The cross was a double envelopment. I love the way Vox puts that. It's a double envelopment around of the enemy. They trick the devil into giving up his authority on earth over any soul that looks to Christ and asks for forgiveness. Right? If you declare that you believe in Christ and you ask for his forgiveness and that he'll intercede before you in the Father's throne, suddenly the devil has no authority over your soul, even though you're in his kingdom. They broke his authority. I'm getting kind of in the weeds of like spiritual stuff, like that one. I know I'm all over the place here, but you're here for the deeper stuff, right? And the ways spiritual worlds work is it's lawyer talk. It's like, hey, did you let the vampire in? No, all right, you're fine. If you let him in, he's going to kill you, right? That kind of thing. It's in every culture, this concept of authority. What sin gives spiritual authority over you. Excuse me. Familial sins, like the sins of your father, like as the Bible even puts it, he punishes up to the second and third generation. Hey guys, did you notice that Gen Z is like the fourth generation after right? Boomers, Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z? Isn't it interesting that they're different than the last three generations? Huh? And more willing to fight and aren't as scared of saying things like, why can those guys be all violent to get what they want, but we have to just take it? What are we doing? And the answer is what one side's willing to be violent and the other's not. The side that's not violent is always going to lose. And, Christianity doesn't disagree with that. Yes, love your enemies, but you're not supposed to put up with your enemy's sin. Like, God loves us, but he's still going to throw anyone in the lake of fire who doesn't bend the knee. He still loves you, but he's still going to have justice in the end. So, when God says to love your enemies, remember, he's going to throw his enemies that he loves in the lake of fire. He's going to send his son down, Jesus Christ, and he's going to kill so many people that there's a river of blood. And please, for the love of, don't listen to any of this stuff about, it's the devil's little season, blah, blah, blah. No. Stop. You're listening to those people full of the spirit of fear who want this to be the end of the world because it's the end of their world.
And in a way, they're kind of giving him a...
Yeah, they're giving themselves an excuse for not fighting him.
And they're kind of giving...
Yeah,
by
right.
saying it, they're also giving permission for more wickedness to happen because of...
Remember that part about things having to be allowed and authority given in the spiritual world?
That, well,
they're like wishing, like saying he has authority now. And first of all, the way even there's some things that it's anything that's gaining traction like this. There's some stuff that sounds kind of credible, but it always comes back to you just do your research a little bit and you read the stuff. If you're a young Christian, don't do that yet. Not in Revelations. Get your gospel reading in first. Get some Old Testament in first. Then start looking at Revelations. Okay? Because Revelations is a confusing book and it's supposed to be confusing. God is not giving away his game plan. He wants you to know that you win in the end. That God's kingdom wins in the end. You win if you're on his side. He wants you to know it's going to be crazy and violent, and he wants you to know enough that when it does happen, you can see it happen, right? But no one's going to, Jesus says he doesn't even know the hour it's going to happen. And if Jesus doesn't know, You are not going to figure it out, baby. It's an after effect kind of thing. And but there's enough there that we can conclusively say that it's not the devil's little season, because two things kind of have to happen before the devil's little season. The first thing is there has to become a time period where every nation is in complete rebellion to God. There's no Christian nations in this, after Christ too, right? There's no Christian nations, none of it. They've all turned to atheism. They're all suppressing their Christians and all the rest. That hasn't happened. It got kind of close with the COVID whole situation, but Russia and China pushed back. Not that China's Christian right now, but the Russians, they have a lot of problems, but they are a pretty Christian nation coming out of communism and all that. And they have definitely not joined up with the devil and have pushed back. So that means you can't even say during the COVID time that we've had a time period where all the nations turned on God. Hasn't happened yet. The next thing that has to happen is after that, the devil has to be put in prison, and for 1,000 years, no nation is deceived by the devil. Has there been a time period where the nations haven't been deceived by evil? And not, by the way, not just Europe, all of the world, all of the nations. So that doesn't work, because you could maybe argue, which I don't know how you could, given the amount of bloodshed between Christians during a lot of these wars, the time periods. But maybe you could say during the high point of Christianity, when Britain's sending 500 guys and destroying an entire culture of headhunters, so there's no more headhunting, and they're actually turning into kind of nice people of coffee now. That's like Borneo, Thailand, those kinds of places.
The Philippines and have that weird thing.
They're only a few generations away from that in some of these places. Like people don't understand. There used to be headhunters on every island.
2 generations before my grandparents were there.
Yeah. Dude, in World War II, Japan killed headhunters in the interior of Taiwan. Taiwan used to be headhunter land. Think on that. That's something crazy to think about. Going from having guys with literally pyramids of skulls of the people they've killed and shrunken their heads, to being the #1 producer of microchips in 50 years. That's crazy, guy. 80 years. That's crazy. That's insane. Go Japan. That's a bad joke. Japan did horrible things in the war. Oh, but that's one thing you can't say they did bad. They did good gas. Yeah, they used gas on them too. Even better. When the headhunters went, no, you Japanese fiends. This is our culture. I have to cut off their heads. I have to kill these babies. I have to kill these people. Then I gotta shrink their heads and put them in a pyramid in front of my house, or I just don't feel cool. And Japan went, you got that mustard gas we've been saving for the Americans? Let's just throw it on them. And then the headhunters' wives all killed themselves so the men wouldn't have any reason to hold back. And then what happened? They just get gassed. Because the Japanese are like, yeah, we're not fighting you guys. You're just dead. I shouldn't laugh during a Bible study about such a dark event in history.
You are awake right now. Holy
That gave me energy thinking of how evil was destroyed by evil. It's literally in Lord of the Rings where the different orc tribes get mad at each other and just murder each. Just dead. Gone. Ha! Thank you for saving me from having to do that myself. Actually, it's it blows my mind sometimes.
Don't say that when you're talking about it.
Yes, Doug. Oh, man. Not all cultures are created equal, ladies and gentlemen. And particularly the Southeast Asia headhunting cultures were particularly disgusting. Nasty.
I mean, you want to... Even their idol is...
We want to get something like this.
We're not even going to... Yeah.
You know what? I'm sure you can look it up. Careful when you do. I think I got a little lost in the weeds laughing at that point. Yeah. What's really funny is like this there was this movie document drama thing that was supposed to make me feel bad for the headhunters. And the entire time I was just laughing because I was like, go Japanese, bro. I like you guys, right? You take out those headhunters. It's so funny. Because they were like definitely trying to make you feel bad for the headhunters, but the propaganda fails so bad because the headhunters are literally like the worst human beings you've ever seen in your life.
With their actions.
Like guys, you know that scene in these movies and stuff where they're trying to make you like, you know, the sad music's in the background and there's like, you know, people dying and it's like slow-mo and there's like this music's telling you know that something horrible is happening, the bad guys are doing bad shit. You know, excuse my language, you know what that was in this movie? I kid you not. It was the Japanese confiscating the bags of skulls that these guys had in their houses. No. Would you not think of the poor headhunter whose skulls were stolen?
Japanese.
Won't you please think of the headhunters? I'm crying. It's literally that commercial, you know, with the dying puppies. And they thought that was gonna make guys like me go, oh, those poor headhunters. Look at their trophies from their human sacrifices and literal behavior, literal serial killing behavior. Like seriously, it's like a serial killer getting his trophies from his kills. You know how they like would keep their tongues or skirts or something, getting them taken away, and the narrators and like there's the music and they're taking it away from Ted Bundy's house or something. All these tongues and going, oh no. Poor serial killer. There goes all his trophies. It's like a Family Guy episode. But they were 100% serious. Oh God. I gotta end this stream. I'm dying. I'm gonna wake up my children. Oh.
She's asleep. You have to put her to sleep.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
God.
She's asleep right there.
I can't do this every night. I hope I don't have to put her to sleep. Wow, I really got lost in the weeds.
Yeah, okay. Have you laughed? I haven't laughed.
I haven't. I mean, it's always been funny to me, but for some reason that moment was like funny. And now I want to create AI making fun of the video.
AI novel.
Won't you please think of the serial killers? No. Every day, a bag of skulls stolen from a serial killer near you.
I think Skydog's getting some inspiration right now.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so funny. I mean, especially since the Japanese, like everywhere else during World War II, were definitely not doing good things. Especially like in the Philippines. But, whew, at least in Taiwan, man, they had the right idea. Oh, man. I think I was getting into that topic because, like, the British would just show up to places like Borneo, look around and say, yeah, those skulls, those aren't staying. They did the perfect line came when they made it illegal for widows to be burned on the pyres in India, and the Indian chieftains or whatever were like, "You're destroying our culture." And the British captain, in the most British way possible, looks at them and says, "I can respect your culture, sir, But you see, I have a culture as well. And where I come from, we hang people by the neck who burn widows. So feel free to do your culture, but I will do mine as well. Man, the British used to be boss. And that's coming from a Dutchman. Okay, we have every right.
I don't cry.
Every right to hate the British. They betrayed us, stabbed us in the back. We both fought the Spaniards to a standstill. We both sacrificed a lot. And then the British went, hey, look at all these nice colonies you have. It'd be a shame if someone just stole them. And yet, I can recognize when the British did good in the world. Okay? I can do it.
Like your teeth.
Oh god, this trip got way more political than I thought I would get. I swear, was not my goal, boys. But I guess it's unavoidable given the topic that a spirit of fear is mostly what stops people from fighting their own societies when their societies are going down a path of evil. The thing is, though, your society will be destroyed, whether God raises up someone who's actually willing to fight, a generation to fight. I legitimately think that Gen Z is a generation that God's raising up to fight back. We should actually be on our hands and knees thanking God for this, by the way, because that means our peoples, our nations are going to continue more than just in a remnant status. We're going to have a lot more of like what happened with Rome. Like, yeah, Rome fell, but you know what came in its wake? Spain, Britain, France, Russia to an extent. Maybe not a direct, you get the point. The Scandinavian countries. Vlad the Impaler. You know what's funny? Okay, more side notes. You guys are in for a lot of deep history and side notes. You know why Vlad the Impaler impaled and hated the Turks? Because there's this little event in his life where he was taken as a hostage by them and his brother. And he had to watch his brother get raped by the Sultan and then groomed as his personal little butt boy. So, Vladdy Boy manages to regain his kingdom. And the Sultan sends emissaries, remember the guy who raped and groomed his brother, to him and says, hey, are you going to be one of my butt boys too? And he goes, no, and nails the turbans. Like, there was a whole joke about it. He nails the turbans of the guys' heads because they didn't remove their turbans in his presence because he was a king, as an insult, but also because, you know, they're being Islamic. So he nailed it to the heads of the ambassadors and sent them bleeding back to the Sultan. And then the funny thing about impaling is that in this time period, it wasn't just used by Vlad, it was used by everybody. They would argue that he used more, but the Turks in particular were known to use it against rebellious peoples, which meant they used it on populations, women, children. So what was Vlad doing? He was using their own tools against them. And he used it very effectively. Like, ironically, you might see this like tapestry of like a guy eating nonchalantly while there's all these guys up on stakes around him dying slowly. That was actually a Turk. That wasn't Vlad. That was a Turk eating amongst all the dead and dying. The funny thing is, the Turks couldn't handle it when it was done back to them. They couldn't take their own medicine. Vlad the Impaler terrified them so much that he made a much larger force run. He made a forest like 20,000 Turk soldiers that his little guerrilla force took. Like, it was like 10-1 against them, and they were doing a guerrilla fight. And the Sultan comes in and finds just a forest of all of his guys up staked. He gets so scared when Vlad and his tiny force almost gets to him that he just turns tails and runs, and the force kind of dissolves. And then the King of Hungary betrays Vlad and puts him in irons and declares that he was working with the Turks all along, which makes absolutely no sense. And you see, most people don't talk about this, but the Pope, during this whole time where Vlad was fighting the Sultan, called for a crusade to help Vlad. And he sent a crap ton of money to the Hungarian king to raise an army to go help Vlad. No army materialized, though, but the money sure disappeared. And then suddenly the Hungarian king declared that Vlad was a disgusting, horrible man who needed to be put in prison. And then he released him and married his daughter to him, or it was his sister or something. If he was such a bad man, why did he release him? Well, the answer was he wanted Vlad to help him fight the Turks, now that the Sultan had put the groomed, raped brother as a puppet king. And it was a really sad story from that perspective. It almost assuredly the Hungarian king spent all the money that was supposed to be for the crusade. And so a lot of the times that Islam made their biggest pushes was because Christians were fighting each other or doing stupid crap. Even the Turks, their Janissaries, like their elite troops, those were Christian boys. Those were Christian boys who were taken from Eastern Europe and turned into a crack infantry force, forced into Islam, raped, groomed, and then made to fight and kill their own. Because, even the Muslims recognize that Christians make pretty good infantry. But, well, white Christians. I'm not trying to be racist here. It's just different races are good at different things, and we've always been really good at, like Mongols. They're great at cavalry. No one's going to argue me with that.
On horseback.
It's their thing. White boys, especially from the Greek traditions and Roman traditions, we are the shock infantry of the world. This is what we do. It's our thing. Get mad at us if you want. This is, okay. Oh, wow. Too political. I need to, oh, man. I'm amazed you guys have sucked. I mean, okay, I've been pretty funny. It's been pretty funny. I thought it was pretty funny. I needed to close things out before we went into all these side topics. But if you read the prophets throughout the Bible, God makes it clear he expects a just society. He expects a society that doesn't worship idols, and he expects, because of the nature of sin, everyone's to blame for it. Because if you think about it, there's nothing that actually stops it. Like our ancestors, if a judge stepped out of line too many times, they didn't just let the judge be. They'd string him up. They'd kick him out. English literally has a word for pushing politicians out of windows. Defenestration. It's great. Though ironically, the Bohemians did that best. If you don't know, that was when the Bohemians took issue with a certain pope basically selling salvation. And then, rather than having a conversation about that, he had their main guy who was saying, hey, stop selling this stuff. It's not Christian. I don't like it. They burned him at the stake. Martyred him. Over basically, don't try to sell salvation. And I think it was some little change to the Eucharist, like they wanted a different style cup. For that, a man was burned at the stake. And in response, the Bohemians went, well, okay. And they threw all their politicians out the window and formed one of the most successful rebellions against the negative Catholic Church. Like on one hand, right, I was really positive on crusades. This crusade that was used against the Bohemians, their fellow Christians, was a complete farce, a complete lie. It was just political. And it's disgusting that it was called a crusade. It's a marring on it. And the Catholics should be ashamed that any of their popes ever did it. It's kind of funny. Like, I'm really positive on the... for example, a lot of people like to crap on the Teutonic Knights, but they don't look at the fact that when you actually look at things, the Lithuanians and all these people, they were doing human sacrifices, doing raids and taking slaves for human sacrifices, constantly attacking Christian lands. these are little details you don't hear about. And it got to the point where the Teutonic Knights went, yeah, no. No more of that. And so they did a crusade to Christianize those lands so there'd be no more raids, no more human sacrifices, and no more crap. And they did beautiful. Now the Lithuanians are great Christians. And they stayed Christian even through communism. Good job, Teutonic Knights. Thank you. But this is different. This is, a crusade against Christians because they don't like that the Pope was selling salvation to pay for. I forget what it was paying. It's been a while since I looked up the situation. And then, yeah. So basically, that's where disfenestration comes from. It's fun that it went into English, throwing your politicians out windows. It's great. It's really fun because there was a general, the Bohemian general, Sig something. Oh yeah, Sig something. He never lost a battle. He was like, he had a bunch of battle scars. He was one-eyed, and he got a peasant army together, and they got wagons, war wagons, put cannons on them. Early medieval cannons on them, and then got a bunch of flails. The flails are the weapons with like a stick, and then and then there's like a ball at the end with a chain. With a chain, that's a flail.
Oh.
It's like a ball and chain, but there's a stick and then there's like a chain.
Yeah.
And so they made flails so that they could get over the knights' armor, like over their shields. And because it was like a blunt weapon with spikes and bolts, they could crush the helmets. So
onto the shields.
So they would go over the shields with the flail.
Yeah,
It'd be a two-handed flail. Right? Can you imagine? Here's a shield. You hit it with the stick, and then the flail goes over the shield and hits the knight in the head. So it was a weapon designed to kill the armored knight. And so they broke up the knight formations with their basically mobile fortresses, set up their guns and their crossbows, and then using their peasant army would just annihilate entire swaths of these German crusaders, which were just mercenaries with crusaders slapped on top. And then they betrayed that general. He never lost a battle, but then he died, and the Bohemians eventually lost. Pretty sad story there too, and it's a utter shame. Disgusting. I'm already in the weeds. I firmly believe that the devil. This is actually a good counterpoint. Actually, I'm pointing out that violence is necessary. I'm not calling for it now, as we brought up in the beginning, to keep our nations from going down the paths that, because if one side is willing to do violence and the Satan's always willing to do violence, then they'll always win. God will win in the end, but in the middle, your nation will be lost if you're not willing to meet violence with violence. It's pure simple, right? It's just playground rules, guys. If one guy's willing to punch and the other guy's not willing to punch, who wins the fight? The guy who's willing to punch. And then, worse, in our case, right, the teacher is paid off by the guy who's willing to punch. Or he gets even worse. But you get the point, right? But the counterpoint to this is that the devil has tricked Christians into killing Christians in the past. When we could have been pushing our efforts to doing what the British Empire did, destroying headhunter tribes and Christianizing them, or the Spanish did before they were tricked, right? Destroying the entire Aztec Empire.
What was that one? How most of the problem about all of Europe, most of Europe was from that one little thing that one.
Oh, the Habsburgs.
Yeah, way back when, how one family could cause
Right,
one big thing to.
Well, most people don't know this, but
all because of what it started. Yeah.
This goes to World War One. All of the main leaders in World War One, I think it was the King of England, the Tsar of Russia, and Wilhelm, the Kaiser. I like Kaiser. It's a good name for emperor. In Germany, were all related. They were cousins. In fact, they joked. I forget which one joked. I think it was the Tsar joked that if their grandmother was still alive, she would have never allowed World War I. And it goes all the way back to the Habsburg line. And this is actually really interesting because the Spanish Empire, right? It forms. They do their Reconquista, 500 years. They finally get Spain back, and God blesses them and uses them as his tool to destroy the Aztec
It
Empire.
was about the gold, wasn't it? Yeah.
Even as Cortez is on his expedition to Mexico, a new king comes into power who's a Habsburg in Spain. And suddenly, the shift is no longer to the New World. It's to basically fighting wars in Europe. Now, he's perfectly willing to use all the gold and stuff he's getting from the New World to fund those wars in Europe. But the shift is very clear. It's no longer fighting the pagan, other than get gold
Well,
from
how
them.
much further?
It's no longer Christianizing the pagan. It's not what he's really interested in. Now it's about fighting over places like the Netherlands.
Which is how far away and how much resources
Like,
they waste.
the tiny little Netherlands with like no resources. They fight 30-year wars, 100-year wars. No, wait, 100 years, that was French. But you get like massive wars, huge casualties. Eventually, like, just led to the destruction of the Spanish Empire. Why? Why would they ever wait? Like, to understand, it was so like 500 conquistadors plus lots of local dissidents who hated the Aztecs conquer the Aztecs, right? That easy to conquer. And then they had fields of gold and silver. Why in the world would they then turn to go to Europe, which has very little gold at this point that hasn't been mined up that they can get to with their current technology, that's very warlike, on par technology-wise for the most part, and doesn't have a lot of resources to offer, compared to the resource-heavy lands in the New World that they just conquered practically without a fight half the time. I mean, the Aztecs did fight back. It's actually really crazy that what Cortez pulled off. God was definitely in it. But why, when you have such easy pickings, like if you're just a materialist, right? If there's no spiritual thing going on, why would you then, as the king, turn to less rich lands to conquer, harder to conquer because they're all warlike? Like they're all descendants of Vikings that have been fighting Islam, or they've been fighting Mongols and all this crap. Right, very hard targets, lots of weird alliances to deal with, and they're Christian, which, makes your population should be less willing to fight. But for some reason, right, he's interested in becoming the emperor in Europe. And the way he even got the Spanish throne, right, this is the way the Habsburgs worked. They would finance out a kingdom that's in financial issues in exchange for one of their daughters, whatever, marrying the heir. And then magically, the heir to that kingdom would just die one day, like King Henry VIII's brother, by the way, who died on his honeymoon in Habsburg lands. Just, he got sick and died, but nobody else got sick and died, and it looked like poison. And a Habsburg physician saw him. I'm sure nothing suspicious happened there, right? And then after the King Henry VIII died, the Habsburg line actually took over Britain and started to fleece it. You have whole civil wars about that. But, I'm getting a little into the weeds. What the point is, the devil will trick us into fighting our fellow Christians. World War I, that was just Christians being tricked into killing each other. They had ridiculous stories in World War I, like saying that Germans had gone into Belgium and were stabbing babies. Does that sound familiar? It should. Remember the whole Iraq incubator nonsense? They know, like, the baby killing thing gets our attention, which is weird because abortion, right? Which is probably why they want to suppress messages that point out abortion. Anyway, so we have to be careful. 4D chess, if you want to say. Oh my God, you cursed me, wife.
What?
You said we'd done 2-hour streams before. It's an hour and 40 minutes into the stream. What have you done? What?
I didn't
Ah! Anyway, for long term, we have to be willing to fight for Christ. We have to be willing to fight our enemy, to preserve our nations, and create a place where women can basically create more Christians and spread the kingdom of heaven. Now, we can't, right? The kingdom of heaven will not come on, like, we can't fulfill our mandate back in Genesis 1 anymore, which is take dominion over the earth, be fruitful and multiply. We can't fulfill that without God's help. We can't do that anymore, and it's not going to happen to us after Revelations, but we can make something good in the now. Which, by the way, that's another reason why the devil little season stuff angers me, because it's like, well, we can't do it right. It's the devil's season. We can't fight it properly. Or, like the Revelation talk and, right, oh, well, it's over anyway. We can't do it, man. No, we can make something good here. God wants to make something beautiful. He's not done yet. And, again, until all the nations turn on God, it's not the end of the world, baby. I don't know why I did that head movement, but it was kind of entertaining on camera. Anyway, so, but we have to remember that the Christian Europeans did this, and they stopped the tide of Islam. Remember, Egypt, Syria, all of the Muslim lands, except for like the Arabian Peninsula, were all Christian land. All of it. In Egypt. Right? But all of the Levant, all of those Arab lands, those were all Christian lands. In fact, most of the descendants there, Syria, all those other places, they are descendants of Christians. The Muslim Golden Age? You know what that was? That was recent forced converts into Islam who used to be Christian inventing. It's hilarious. It's amazing that these Muslim freak herders who were jumping goats out in the desert and couldn't make armor to save their lives, right? Suddenly magically have a golden age. Could it be that all the Christian land they conquered that had all that knowledge might have helped? The Turks were just weirdos out in the deserts humping goats all the time. And then they get hired as mercenaries, and next thing you know, they conquer Constantinople, and now they have all this rich stuff. Funny how, like, all of their power structure is based off of stealing Christians, like the Janissaries, and stealing women for brides and all the rest, right? It's all very based on basically just taking all the Christian stuff. But it's a golden age, guys. So don't look too closely at that. I'm getting in the weeds. The point is, the Christians fought back, and God blessed them, and they held back the tide. They were fighting evil around the world with groups like the Dutch Empire and the British Empire. They did a lot of bad things, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, when you do a lot of the research, you find out a lot of those bad things weren't actually that bad. They've been slandered a lot. Most of the bad things they did were actually against their fellow Christians. Like I said, the stabbing.
Where the Mongols were shocked.
No, you're talking about Islam.
Oh,
If you don't know, there's this fun little anecdote where, like, the Mongols conquered a huge...
It was like the grandson of Genghis Khan or something.
Yeah,
right?
The Mongols conquered a bunch of Muslim land, and then they were, like, shocked by the Muslim practices, right? The guys who, like, lined everybody up, and the tallest guys are just got their heads cut off at villages, were shocked at the depravity that the Islamists were doing, and told them this crap stops right now. Those guys, right? The Mongols. You make the Mongols uncomfortable. You're pretty evil and you do some dark crap. Oh, that's funny. But what I'm trying to get at here, right? When Christians are fighting the pagan, when they're fighting the dark gods behind them, remember, our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities of darkness, right? When we're fighting our real enemies, God blesses us. And 500 conquistadors can conquer a nation of millions. Right? 5 Scottish guys in kilts can be hired by the British and sent off, and an entire headhunter culture can be annihilated, right? Can be Christianized. You stop and your brain melts a little bit when you think about just the amount of evil that was destroyed. The main slave mentality, the main slave trade ended by the British Empire. Ironically, by an ex-slave guy as well who helped. Like a guy, the Amazing Grace was once not worse than the slave owner. He was the guy actually bringing the slaves over, watching hundreds of people die in the boats. But he was saved, and that's why it's so Amazing Grace. A wretch like me, he meant it. He used to be a slaver, and he was amazed that God saved him. And he spent the rest of his life trying to end slavery. It was great. It's boss. And yeah, when Christians are fighting the pagan and the evil, we're blessed. And one can make 1,000 run. But when we start fighting each other, it's amazing how the blessings go away. And it's amazing the times in history that Christian nations have risen up against each other. The amount of intrigue from World War I to II to the nipple wars. It's late. Napoleonic Wars.
Do I need a bike?
Nipple wars. Anyway. Quick, someone make me laugh about skulls again. No. Today, a serial killer near you is losing all his tongue trophies.
You just insulted this beautiful book.
Beautiful. Anyway, I didn't pet the book. You didn't see that. Right.
There was probably a lot
When
of
we turn on
time.
each other, it's clear that God removes some of his blessing, like those Bohemian Wars. Like, right, there was no reason why these peasants, even with their tactics with the wagons and whatnot, should have been able to stand up against the Crusaders. But they did for years, like long enough that their best general died. I think he died of a disease, but also was a little betrayed. And the Bohemians unfortunately started doing a lot of infighting, and in my opinion, lost God's blessing, and then were submitted to the Crusaders again, and false Crusaders. Right? Again, we think of Teutonic Knights. Right? These were German Crusaders, just like the Teutonic Knights. When they were fighting the Lithuanians, they were kicking butt, but they tried to fight the Bohemians, who weren't. They were just peasants with sticks. Peasants with sticks with chains on the end of ball, right? Right? And they were getting their butts kicked. And right? Right. And it's amazing how many of these wars have this intrigue, like the Habsburgs. Like certain Jewish groups, like Masonic groups. They're like all weaving in and out of these conflicts where Christians inexplicably are murdering each other in mass. Like, have you ever thought about like World War I? Bismarck, right? You might have known the guy. He was the big guy, basically the guy who like helped found Germany. He thought Britain and Germany made perfect sense as allies. Germany could concentrate on their army in Europe and like defend Europe. Britain has the navy. Perfect for each other. They're not going to conflict with each other's interests because they're so wildly different, and there would be virtually invincible working together. Bismarck wanted that. It's a supreme irony then that the surface fleet, the big ship, right? What was it called? The Bismarck? Right, Bismarck would have been rolling over in his grave. He never wanted them to make battleships. yeah, actually. But you had this guy, this dude who was descendants of Habsburgs and other stuff, related to the same monarch family, to the Tsar, to the King of England, right? Who wanted to make ships. And this is where you get the German Navy. He wanted to challenge the British Empire while challenging the Russian Empire and the French Empire. Right? It's like it was set up from the beginning to be a disaster, because it was. It was set up to be a disaster. Forces were pushing Christians to kill each other. And the only thing that would have stopped it is if the Christians stopped, turned around, and fought their own politicians on their home shores. Went, why is this Habsburg guy, who's not even really German, in charge of my nation?
Elizabeth born Leaders.
Exactly. You know, Napoleon, that guy was Corsican. He wasn't even French. Mhm. Everyone was short back then, to be fair. Right?
Midgets.
Right. Hitler, Austrian, not German.
Definitely not a midget.
Ironically, Alexander the Great, Macedonian, not Greek. At least Caesar was Roman, right? Oh. Ooh. You will not get me hungry this late. I can't believe we're doing a 2-hour stream. What the poop? What have you done? And people have stayed the whole time. I'm tired. I was tired before we started. I'm trying to end this. So, the proper counterbalances. This is something we need to remember for the long term. And I don't know if this is actually the right stream to do for newer Christians, but whatever. Here we go. When the devil realizes that he can't destroy you, that he can't use the Muslims to kill you, that he can't use the pagans to kill you, that you're no longer weak, you're no longer tricked by the spirit of fear that you won't fight back, or the spirits of, the 7 deadly sins, gluttony, all that's right, the overconsumption, and then the spirit of fear that gets attached to this all. Right, because when you're a slave to the spirit of lust, you're afraid of losing access to your lustful material like porn or whatever it is. And then the spirit of fear takes over, and the spirit of lying, you get libertarian and all this stuff, right? When he finds out that you have God's blessing and you're going to fight back now, and now 10,000 of his guys can't stand up to 500 of yours, he's going to switch tactics again. He's going to do what he did to the European nations. He's going to sneak in pagan leaders and families and build them up like Rockefeller, right? It'll be, some of them will be his favorite butt boys, the Jews. Some of them will be local, like Habsburg lines and whatnot. Some will be religious, some will not. Some will be recruited from childhood, kind of like teenagers. Like I heard a crazy story about a guy who was Amish, and on his way to the altar to accept Christ when he was like 10, he heard the voice of the devil give him a counter offer, and he took it, and he went into witchcraft. By the way, if that's happening, there's almost certainly a witch or something in your church that's breaking the protection of the church. Okay? A church in its rightful form is a fortress of God, spiritually.
You can't be sensing anything.
Now, fortresses get under assault, but, they shouldn't be on the inside of the church.
They should be
Outside of the church, around it, right? Around the church, besieging the church, but inside the church with you, you got a problem. You let something in. And I need to do a video about witches infiltrating churches. The annoying thing about that? Like, I knew it was happening. We personally dealt with it. But like I found books now going all the way back to the 90s, like the Satanic Panic, where ex-witches and stuff were warning everyone they were doing it, and everyone just called them crazy. Psychologists in particular. That's another stream. I'm getting too political. Too political. I just talked about headhunters and all kinds of. But that's too political, right? Whoa! So, anyway, important point is once the devil realizes your nations are going to fight back too hard and they're going to stand in their faith, then he goes into the infiltration stage and starts to corrupt you from the inside out. And this could take generations, because it took generations to get Europe to the point where they're betraying their faith. And they were hidden this whole time. Bohemian Grove was, old, but there's older stuff in Britain. There's older stuff in Europe, in Spain, all sorts of weirdness. It was always going on. The devil will always have his children as long as he's around. All right? The annoying thing is they hide. They hide what they are. And, the better we get at ferreting them out and dealing with them, and at least kicking them out of our nations, if not more permanent methods, it does create a scenario where the ones that are the best at hiding are the ones that survive. It is a survival of the fittest thing. And so, you know, it's really hard. Like, you know, the Salem witch trials? There was definitely real witchcraft going on there. This one was weird. Like, I studied creepy stories and stuff and folklore, and I noticed this crazy trend all along Appalachia, so the mountain range there. Those areas, there's all these stories of witchcraft, like a town being normal, and then a witch comes out of Salem. Like the Salem witch trials come, and then all these witches apparently ran, and they ran to the four corners of all the places being colonized at that time. And they were these folklore stories of these witches coming, running from Salem, and then they go into caves, and then there's all this creepiness, weird crap, goat demons and things going on, and it's like to this day, all this memory of all these witches and witchcraft coming out of Salem after they were properly attacked. Now, the Salem witch trials are a mess because I think demonic forces co-opted them and turned them evil and wrong and twisted a bunch of it and then used it to attack Puritans because, well, you know, it's really hard to get people to be slaves to lust and thus be slaves to the spirit of fear if they're Puritans. Do I need to explain that? I don't think I need to explain that. It's in the name, pure, right? So naturally, they had to be slandered. They had to be destroyed.
Poor myself.
Oh, I hate you and I love you. I hate myself. Oh, Lordy, but it felt good. I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot to talk about. I felt like I actually held back a lot too. I know. Isn't that crazy?
You know what?
I know. We talked about some crazy crap. No? I'm gonna make some fun shorts out of this. Swartz! God, that stupid Jew movie snuck in here on me. No, you snorch me. I know, I said. So,
I can't say that.
bring it around. Gotta understand the devil's tactics in this and what he'll do next. And it's sad to say, I already see the seeds being laid for this. There's in a lot of good movements trying to like bring farming back and get people ready for what's coming. They're allowing all kinds of weird Buddhism in there. They're very positive towards Muslims because unfortunately we're coming from a materialist Christian mindset. And so there's some carryover. And you know what some of that carryover is? Concentrating too much on the material. Like, oh, hey, Muslims don't allow gay people around. Muslims, you know, enforce sexual purity, except they don't, right? They enforce sexual purity amongst the laymen, but the leaders have always been sexually wild. And then the laymen are given motivation to go rape and pillage because it's okay to rape and pillage. Like, there's always weird laws that, like, you're not gay if it's like a foreign kid or something who's an infidel if you rape the kid. Isn't that disgusting? And there's all these weird little rules like that allows Islam to become like a hedonistic religion while forcing a large chunk of their constituents to stay relatively chaste. But even if they were not basically a hedonistic religion in disguise, which is obvious, by the way, right? Like, if you, let's say there's a Christian gay and you import them, would you think they were still Christian if they were creating rape gangs and a bunch of rape slaves and whatnot? No, we would all kind of recognize, okay, you're jumping the shark, you're not Christian. But guess what? Islam, what do all those Muslims do in Rothermore? Right? What's the first thing they do? Rape as many white girls as they can. Right? And that's the point. Right? Those are the Muslims. Those are the most active Muslims. And the non-hedonistic Muslims are going to do nothing to stop it because they're scared of those guys, right? They're scared of their radicals. They're not going to defend you from those radicals, right? Because then those radicals are going to come after them. Oh, they haven't been fed yet. Sorry. And anyway, there's over positivity towards these things that are run by teens and stuff. So, I need to wrap this up. We're losing you.
You got 10 seconds.
You suck. Ugh. Basically, I see the seeds already kind of being implanted. Pagan stuff that'll come out of it. They'll be good Christian for now, but then generations down, you're going to have kids who aren't going to understand the problem, and they're going to say, "Why do you think these religions are bad at all?" And they're going to let them in, and the corruption's going to start all over again. And the next thing you know, you're going to have another generation like the boomers who give themselves over to hedonism and Buddhism and all the other spiritualisms that they gave themselves over to. But hopefully it'll be a long ways away. I'm hoping people like me, people like you, that we build up enough to push that down the road or even make it not happen. After all, Russia didn't go for that. Hopefully we won't have to deal with communism gulags to pull that off, though. I'm sorry. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Thanks for showing up. Homework will definitely be done this next time. You're not getting out of it next time. Chapters 3 and 4 of Luke. Remember, sermons on Sunday. There shouldn't be any family drama, Lord willing, this coming Monday. So our stream will be Monday, and it will be a little more focused than this. We had a lot of fun today. A lot of fun. But we need to focus it up a little bit more next time and keep it more spiritual. I might make another stream if I don't get too tired that's dedicated to these crazy stocks, but I don't want to fill up our week too crazy. So, thanks for showing up. It's great seeing you, Skydog in particular. Hope you all enjoyed it. Show up for the next one. I'll be putting up shorts all week, so please watch them. And then I'll probably do a political video Thursday. Okay. Thanks for showing up. God bless. Lord God, break the algorithm and push this video forward. You're a wonderful name. Amen. Thanks for staying the whole time, Skydog. You always motivate me. All right. Later. Second button every time.